Today we have with us Jason Zombo. He's a senior recruitment manager at Critiz. So now, Jason, we would love to know how your professional journey has been so far and how you got started with your career.
So basically, my journey started with a startup, MedLanes. That's basically a medtech company. The goal was to enable everyone to access healthcare everywhere through technology. So what we did is that we started that for 1 year, and basically you can compare it to Dr. Lieb today with what they're doing with Visio. That's basically what we tried to do at the time. I started there as a HR associate, where I really started recruiting first, trying to find the best people for the company with zero money at the time. So I really had to struggle to find the best talents. And step by step, I moved forward, and I had the company. I had a position where I had to handle the entire HR process. So also with retention, also with payroll and admin parts. After a year, I decided to move forward and to go in a consulting group, AIS. I don't know if you know it. Basically, I worked there for 3 years. My job was to look for companies who were looking for HR profiles. So I was specialized in that field. And on the other side, I had to find also candidates that could match to those opportunities, coach them, and help them really enlighten their best abilities to work. So I did that for 3 years. I climbed the ladders there. I was manager there as well with the team. And after 3 years, I decided to go back to my first loves, startups. So I worked at Mano Mano. I don't know also if you heard of it. It's a big scale up in France. Basically Amazon, but for DIY products. And I worked there, and I had the opportunity to implement the recruitment process with my manager at the time. I was really lucky to be able to do it by myself pretty fast, and it worked so far. We also implemented a data mindset within the company with metrics and KPIs to really support the growth that we had at the time, and then built on top of it, implement ATS as well, so things like that. So after a year and a half, I decided to go to another company. My journey was over at Mano Mano. I really wanted to implement also within another startup, but this time smaller than Mano. So at Critizer, so I basically started from scratch, implemented the entire recruitment process, started with implementing an ATS. I'm working with Lever for now, more than 2 years. So that's a tool that I'm using a lot. And then really help the company grow, the managers as well, to develop the skills and get the best talents. So far I'm there, still working there today, and yeah, it has been the journey so far.
You mentioned that you really you enjoy working with the startups. So how important it is from the perspective of an HR manager to build the right team in order for the startup to be successful in the future, and what role does an HR play in the early stages of a startup?
Basically, the thing that I've noticed after working in 3 startups is that most of the companies, they think about getting a recruiter, recruiting a lot, and they really focus on that. And for maybe 1-2 years, they start realizing that there are other components that are important, which are onboarding, a really good onboarding process, and a really good retention process as well. So basically, I've noticed that recruitment was important, but also onboarding and retention were the key elements for a scale-up to grow the way they wanted. Because once you focus on only recruitment, you have also people that were there with you along your journey that are not fully understanding what is going on. Everything is going really fast, and you really have to have everyone on board in order for the company to be successful. Otherwise, you will lose some people, and recruiting a lot will just filling a bathtub that is filled with holes as well. And it can be really frustrating for a recruitment team to work like this and really find the best people, but people are leaving. So in order to scale and really climb the ladders, you really need to focus on those 3. What I've noticed so far on the market is that there is a good improvement in recruitment. There's still a lot of things to do with NPS, for example, with candidates, in order for the company to make sure that they're well interviewed and with a fair process. The onboarding as well really improved. So a lot of companies, at least in the startups environment, are developing that. So we're really good at this. The other thing that is a little bit more rare is retention. Basically, that's the problematic that I found in the 3 different startups that I had, even this one, so today. And it's really a thing that most of the startups would need to invest, I think, in the next few years, or even right now, to make sure that the people that they have currently in the company or staying in the company can have the opportunity to grow, mature, and develop their skills with them. And when it's time for them to move and that the company cannot help them anymore, of course, it will be successful for both, and the story will be positive. But it's a positive cycle that you have to implement in order for the scale to be successful.
So after COVID, we've seen that everyone has been working from home, and that was more of a necessity at this point of time. So how has HR managed to make sure that everything is being done in the right manner and everything is being managed?
Regarding recruitment, so as I'm concerned, I'm really already used to do interviews from the distance, so using Visio, using those kind of tools. So we're used to that. Managers a little bit less, so they really like to have the contact, the presence of the candidates in order to reassure their decision. And that was a little bit tricky for them in the beginning, but they got used to it pretty fast. And once you build a good process with good questions and PBI, for example, personal behavior interviews, then they're reassured, and you have the possibility to interview people without seeing them face to face. The other thing that we did on in parallel is the onboarding process that we really worked hard to make easy without having the people starting within the company and sending them everything that they needed. We were extremely present with them. We spent a lot of time with them to give them the information, reassure them, and spend a lot of time during the first days of their arrival in order to make sure that they really feel connected with the company, because the onboarding process is really important for that in a normal situation. But when you have a COVID situation where you have a lot of things to think about, and maybe parents with school and all of those things, you really need to be there for your future employees and help them to onboard the best way. Pretty good for the employees. We really help them build the best space at home for them. So, for example, one policy that we added was 200 euros that were given to every employee for them to get maybe a new desk at home, a new screen, or things like that, and really help them to have the right environment to work from home. We also had new offices, so we tried to kind of, in the beginning, where we didn't know exactly the different steps, we had to really be cautious when people were coming into the office. So from time to time, we were really cautious about that with a clear policy. So both were interesting to kind of see and move forward step by steps, but we adapted well because the process, the initial process was good. So we were also confident to make it distant as well.
So there's this term that we repeatedly hear, which would be employer branding. It is very imperative that every firm brand themselves to the future employees in order to attract the best talent in. So how do you see the firms manage that during COVID, and what should a firm actually do to have a good positioning of themselves within the job market during the COVID specifically?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question, because employer branding is also really a huge topic for startups. Since the funds are not as high as a big company, you always have to be creative and use the best tools that you have at your disposal to communicate the best way about your community, your company, your values, and things like that. LinkedIn is a big asset for that. It's really a good platform to do that. We have also platforms in France like Welcome to the Jungle that help us really be visible to candidates. But to me, if I really link it to COVID, the logic should not change. You should still be super authentic, communicate about what you're doing, the way you're doing it, your values, and spread it. Use managers or people within the company, like good manager, big managers in the company, and help them in use their LinkedIn profile to really push the message of the company. So to me, that's the things that we need to kind of develop. Personal branding, for example, that's something that is rising a little bit and help a lot the companies. So once you use the leaders of your companies to display messages based on their departments, for example, you can really attract the best talents because it's targeted. And it's not only the company communicating to the potential candidates, but it's also sometimes leaders of a department talking to specialists and attract them the best way. So you just have like a big net and you're collecting in a smart way, in a genuine way, people who are attracted to your company, your message, the way you're working.
And so now when you recruit people, so one thing is obviously the skills they would be needing on the job. But apart from them, what are the soft skills you believe are very important, such as team player or the right fit for the culture fit for the organization? So what are some of the soft skills that you look for in future employees?
At Critizer, at least if I speak for this company, one of the skills that we're looking for, one of the soft skills we're looking for, it's entrepreneurs. That can sound maybe strange or interesting, but we're looking for people who have this grit to kind of start things for their own and work within a whole. So basically, the other soft skill will be team player. That would be those two. But the mindset of an entrepreneur is really important in our companies. For example, I think maybe the statistic is not exactly correct, but I would say that 70% of the people at Critizer either already started a company or will start a company. And I believe I'm one of them, that I will one day create a company. And it really helped understand the journey that we have for each department. So we have professionals, so that's also a soft skills that I would add to that, because we don't believe in micromanagement. So we really need people who are self-driven, who can achieve things without having people behind their back and giving them, of course, all the different clues to hack problems, because that's what we do every day. We are hacking problems that we never had before, and we try to find solutions. So those are the skills I would say that are necessary to work within our company. But then if I add other things that I learned along my journey and interviewing thousands of people, I believe, grit, that's something that I really find interesting and determine a good profile and really show you the difference with someone that has grit and self-determination than someone who's just doing this job for money or for of course live at the end of the day. So those are the key elements. There are others, but on the top of my mind, that would be the ones that I would think about.
Certainly. And even HR managers, they are the point of contact with the people, and they have to deal with a lot of situations in any firm. So what are some of the qualities within an individual that could make them successful within the field of HR itself?
To me, and I will speak for myself because it's a tricky question. I would not ask for other people. But to me, the skills that really help me and are genuine, it's my love for people and basically helping them finding what they're good at, what they're made for, and what they enjoy doing every day without breaks, without being bored. Of course, it's not always easy, but that one thing that really motivates me to do that job. Another skill is to be really open-minded, because recruitment, as you know, we have a lot of cognitive biases. And it's really difficult to go around those. So you really have to work over the years, removing those in order to understand what a candidate is telling you within the interview, and then help either him or her display the best way their skills without tricky questions, without tricks during the interview, but just, of course, again, with PBI interviews and with objectives, criterias. And yeah, and basically I would say that I'm really happy doing the job because I love people and I love interacting with them, understanding their journey, why they made those decisions that lead them to where they are today. So yes, listening skills as well is really important in order to really assess a candidate. And you need also to have grits and really be, how to say that, not directive, but be able to communicate with managers and help them find the best people without being just someone who filters interviews and filters candidates. You really have to be a good support for them and advise them, because you should know your job and give them feedbacks and tools so that they can be the best as well as interviewers.
And you also mentioned that you worked a lot with the ATS and implementing the same in various firms. So one of the challenges that a lot of young professionals face, what to actually put in the CV and how to get shortlisted within the various firms. So how would you like to throw some light on how that process actually works, so that some people can benefit from that, incorporate that?
Sure. So from the ATS, so basically, for a long time, most of the companies have been struggling filtering profiles. So if you the bigger your visibility is, the more candidates you can have. And the more platforms you publish, the more candidates you can get. The thing is that we don't have huge teams of recruiters. We most of the time have 1, 2, 3 maximum, or for the biggest startups, maybe a team of 6 or a little bit more. But still, the volume is so intense, so high, that you cannot filter all of them. So you need to find tricks, you need to find ways to still respond to all of them. So basically what I would say to stand out in order when you apply, that's something that I implemented at Critizer. It's something that I call show your skills. And the goal is basically, you've probably seen on LinkedIn when people are publishing original CVs and things like that to kind of enlighten a little bit more and be more seen. That's the same principle. But what I would advise is to give value to the company you want to work for. It sounds a little bit strange and weird because most of the people would say, but I'm applying, I'm already putting a lot of effort to do that. But in order for you to stand out and be the one that is selected in the end, you need to stand out and really show what you can bring to the company. So a quick example, for example, would be for a recruiter. Let's say I'm recruiting a recruiter and I would need the person to recruit in the end of the day. How, as a candidate, can I show that I can be a good candidate and I can be a good recruiter? I can just simply take a position that is displayed by the company, make a hunt, for example, find 3 good candidates, send those profiles and say, for example, those are the profiles that I found for this role. I think they could be a good fit. Of course, I didn't have all the information, but I think that those could be a good fit. If you are happy to discuss with me, then I will be glad to present you why I think those people are good. You just transformed an interview and like just an application process with I show my skills and I stand out from the crowd and I show how I can help you. And this exchange of value, I think that will grow the more and more. When you have people doing that on LinkedIn, they really are successful. Like you have clicks and they're standing out, they're finding things because they're just trying. They're just showing that they can do a little bit more than the other. And this skill, to me, that's really today. I'm just saying that, and I think I'm the only one offering this opportunity to candidates. But I really believe that the more it grows, the more people will do it. Of course, we will have another issue afterwards because we will have to filter people with a lot of work that they will have to do. But you can send a presentation of a portfolio, for example, things that you've done that shows and displays more than your CV, because a CV is just lines, it's just things that you've done, but it doesn't show what you did. And that's what recruiters are looking for. They're trying to find hints and they're getting them by themselves. So bring them on the table so that it's easy for them. But then we can also think about other things I would explain if we have time or another day on how to be sure to respond to candidates as well. That's another topic. But to stand out, I think that would be my best advice.
the current firm that you're working on, since it's again a startup, and so how do you see that evolving in the future, and what future do you see for Critis?
To me, what we're doing, it's unique on the market. So basically, gathering feedback from customers and allowing the managers to directly respond to them and solve problems that they might have within their customer journey. What we're doing is not in terms of getting feedback from them, it's not unique, but the way we do it is so really bringing people together, having the close connection within the store. That's something unique. And the way we do it, to me, really has a bright future because we have no competitors that are doing the same thing. We're spreading a lot. We're having big clients as well that we're signing, and we sign already. So it will be worldwide, of course. We will try to expand. Of course, I cannot give that many informations because we're focused on France, the French market right now, the UK market. But as soon as we are growing and as soon as we are developing those different markets, we will be ready to move to other markets and then really grow. But our purpose is to give the opportunity to every customers, but to have this point of contacts with the stores and have solutions to their problems. Like, for example, other issues that you can have when you try to call the call center, and when it's problems that you never had or that are not on the workbook that they had, really difficult to solve it. It's really complicated, and as a customer, you should have the possibility to talk with people within the company, within the store. That's why we're trying to achieve, but more things are coming, of course. But yeah, I see a bright future for Critiza.
So with that, thanks a lot, Jason, for joining us for the interview. I'm sure all our viewers would be happy to learn from wonderful views. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.